we're going to move now to a candidate for county commissioner. And Cathay Reynolds is the incumbent in District 1 for county commissioner, and she had to go to a county commissioners meeting this evening, so she had a chance to be here a little earlier. So I wanted to explain where she went this evening. With us is Gerry Horak, and while I'm talking about District 1, I just want to emphasize that everybody in the county votes on these races. Even though they are nominated by district, everybody in the county will be voting on this race. Gerry Horak has a bachelor's degree from Towson State and a master's from Johns Hopkins. He also has a wildlife biology PhD from CSU. He has his own business development and project management consulting firm here in Fort Collins. He's a former Fort Collins City Council member, former mayor of Fort Collins, currently serves on the Larimer County Community Corrections Advisory Board. Gerry.
Thank you, Mark. What I'd like to talk about is the inverse relationship on the ballot and its importance sometimes for land use in Larimer County. As we all know, we'll have the talks from folks running for Congress later on tonight. And if you get elected to Congress, you have to have 269 other people agree with you to get something done. 217 representatives, 51 senators, and the President of the United States. If you get elected to the House, as the folks running up here are, or the Senate, you need to get 51 other people to agree with you to get something done. The 32 people in the House, the 18 people in the Senate, and the governor of Colorado. If you get elected to be county commissioner, you've got to convince one other person to get something done. I think I can do that. The time that I served on the Fort Collins City Council, there was a lot of change for the environment in Fort Collins. There was no Department of Natural Resources. Actually, that occurred because of the Anheuser-Busch issue, which was the jobs and environment issue, and was resolved, I think, in a very effective way. It's kind of interesting that that particular development at the time had what I thought to be good jobs, even though there were some environmental consequences, air quality being one. Bush actually changed from having coal to use the electricity to run the plant, the gas, not to be using coal. What was interesting is since that time, the people who worked there, the kid I coached soccer, taught him how to play soccer goalie, his dad and brother worked there. The lady who cuts my hair, her husband works there, and my stepson works there. Actually, he's going to work his way through medical school, by working at Anheuser-Busch on weekends. The other thing is when I was on council, I worked very hard. The Well and Scenic River, which is actually trying to be, again, a job sort of thing, as well as an environmental issue. I was instrumental in getting the city to change its position to be in favor of dams on the Poudre to be against dams on the Poudre. We worked hard on many natural resource issues, the open lands, which you now see in both Fort Collins and Larimer County. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to rotate these questions and give everybody at the table a chance to answer them, and Gerry, you can decide if it pertains to the county race or not if you want to, and there's going to be a couple questions I think just for you, county issues, so I'll let you make that decision on your own as we go through these questions. Let's start with, and I'll start with you, the question of the state is wrestling with issues, additional diversions, and as population growth continues both on the western slope and throughout the state of Colorado, there's going to, the balance is the question between healthy river systems and water, the need for water for especially domestic use. Can you get everybody's opinion on this and what that balance means to you?
Well, thank you so much for asking me that. I think that one of the things that we can do, I just went last week to this organization called Progressive 15, and it's the 15 most northeastern counties in Colorado, and some of the things that they're dealing with are just drought and not being able to take care of their families because of their water issues, and they're turning off water so they can't plant. I think that we can do a lot in northeastern Colorado, including Larimer County, with them working together to be a good player in the bidding process for water rights. Also, I think that we need to do some cost analysis for the next 20 or 50 years line, and if we build these houses now, are we going to be having enough water in the future for, for the people that live here? And also that we need to, recently there was, in Wellington, the elementary school had to bring in bottled water because the reservoir was so low that there were pesticides and fungicides in the water, and so it wasn't potable for the elementary school kids. So I think that we need to focus on that a little bit. I think we need to focus on taking care of our precious water resources that we have, and taking care in instituting and helping promote zero-escaping as well, to try and limit our water uses so we can promote Colorado's general welfare. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jodi?
Well, first of all, I think we need to recognize that our rivers do not provide an infinite supply of water for us throughout the state. And we know that 80 to 85% of the state's water supply is currently being used by our agricultural communities. So I think when we talk about water, we really need to have the folks that are on the plains and really, dependent on this precious resource, definitely at the table, and these discussions are happening. And we need to provide them kind of a safety measure, if you will, in protecting that resource, and providing them agreements where they can have lease agreements, especially when in times of drought, where they can have access to that pretty readily. I think one of the things the state really needs to focus on is our conservation efforts, and definitely providing incentives and reward systems, both for our farmers, our business communities, and our residents for conserving this very precious resource. I think one thing we also need to be considering, although I consider it somewhat of a last-ditch effort, is really looking at storage areas, especially when we do have a surplus and we're out of a drought season. What are we going to do in terms of storage? And I know reservoirs are absolutely more expensive and not necessarily environmentally friendly, but coming up with creative solutions with a diverse group of people at the table in order to look at what options are good for us walking into the 21st century. I also would like to see greater regionalism and folks coming together from across the state and strong collaboration. Make sure really, again, that all the stakeholders are represented on this issue because, again, rivers don't provide an infinite supply. And conservation, I think, is definitely the underlying message that we need to be focused on.
Okay, thank you. Don?
We've got a 5-point plan on water. Number one is conservation, and we're doing a good job. The municipalities in northern Colorado have really gone about this and started doing it about 5 years ago. I'm on the Water Utilities Commission for the city of Loveland, and one of our problems today is we've conserved too much. Our sewer plant's having a problem because we don't have enough water, wastewater, running down through there to make the plant function. So there's some technology changes now that we're going to have to go through because the people of Loveland have really done a good job with conservation. We need to be able to reuse that water. The water that flows through our sewer plant in Loveland, we put that water right back into the river. It goes into the Big Thompson River, and that eventually ends up on the farm that I have out in Jodi, Colorado, and we use that out of the North Sterling Reservoir to irrigate our corn and our sugar beets. Augmentation is a very big issue. Our gravel operators today are doing gravel pits all along the Big Thompson River, and they're coming in there and augmenting those with water that they're purchasing, and those lakes and ponds are going to be very good for all our birds and animals out there. Enhancing, we need to enhance the reservoirs that we have. We have lots of reservoirs in the state of Colorado that have dam problems. Not dam problems, but a dam problem. They need to be fixed. I've been involved with that. The Buckingham Reservoir in Loveland, we went in and redid the dam, and with that, we now irrigate the Mariana Butte Golf Course. Without that enhancement, we would have had to get the water someplace else in order to be able to irrigate our golf course. And finally, we do need to build new reservoirs. We have plenty of water in Colorado. We have plenty of water for farming, and we have plenty of water for development. We just have to slow it down. And if we can slow it down, reuse it, augment it, store it, the waters that we have in Colorado is enough for us. Thank you.